So it has been a wild year for me in 2025. I quit my job in 2024 and starting from 2025, it is a full year where I work as a full-time indie game developer. There has been ups and there has been downs in this year. Some key lessons that you may learn from it, and I'm here to talk about it in this video. So in Q1 of 2025, I have launched a game called the Boba Teashop. It is a horror simulator game where you work in a boba tea shop with some simple mechanics. And there are some scares and creepy moments in the game. When the game launched, I expected it to only make around 50,000 in a year, but the sale of the Boba Tea Shop exceeded way above my expectation. And right now, with Steam alone, it is triple my original expectation. It is currently sitting at 150,000 gross revenue before all the Steam cards, refunds, and taxes. In Q2 of 2025, I started prototyping some ideas on my next game. My first idea is the remake of my itch.io game called Daughter, and I did some prototyping on the environment. So after like a few weeks, it felt generic and boring, so I scrapped the whole idea completely. And after that, my next prototype is called The Probation, which is like an office place horror. I have the whole scene set up, designed a mechanic similar to Severance, the TV show, but later scrapped the whole game as I couldn't make the game look engaging enough. And in Q3, I finally settled on another horror simulator game called the Hambagu Shop. But instead of making boba teas, you are making Japanese hamburg rice bowl. This is more of a calculated decision on my part, as I have a lot of similar systems that I can transfer from the boba tea shop and put it in the hamburger shop. I just need some modification in the system to allow a more complex system. Later, I remember that I read in a Chris Zukowski article saying that you need 150,000 revenue to be eligible for a daily deal on Steam. The Boba Tea Shop was hovering at around 100k gross revenue, so I just tried my luck and sent an email to Steam asking for a daily deal. Luckily enough, I was accepted for a daily deal and I get to access to this daily deal dashboard where I can schedule my own daily deal. So I set my own daily deal on December. That is the earliest month I can choose with an empty slot and not clashing with another discount events. And finally, in Q4, I finally took some time off and went to Osaka, Japan with my girlfriend, just as a reward to wind down, because I don't really have any time to relax and go on a trip when I had a full-time job. This is the first time in a really long time where I'm able to fully relax and immerse myself in a trip. After I came back from my trip, I reviewed my new game, The Hambagu Shop, at the Indie Horror Showcase by DreadXP and The Mix. It gets a lot of comments that it looks very similar to Chilla's art, which is a good thing, as Chilla's art fan can get their fix on my game while waiting on the next Chilla's art game. One thing that I did not expect is I was contacted by Serafini Productions, which is a horror game studio mainly focuses on the Broken Law series. They are quite popular in the horror game space, and they contacted me to port the Boba Tea Shop to consoles, particularly PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch. So after countless discussion with them, I finally decided to go with them to port my Boba Teashop to consoles. They also did some marketing for the Boba Teashop for the console release. They even managed to get my trailer into IGN and in the Horror Game Award showcase. That causes a small bump on my sales number for the Boba Teashop, which I'm really glad that they might help me in this way. So in conclusion, this is a great year for my game studio. It allows me to stay afloat and to make games without worrying that whether my next game is going to do well or not. So what are my resolutions for 2026? The main and the most important thing is that I need to complete and release the Hambagu Shop. After the release of Hambagu Shop, I'm planning to make a small horror game with 1 to 2 months of dev cycle, similar to games like Home Zero. After that, I would start production on my next horror game, which is a similar size to the Boba Tea Shop and the Hambagu Shop. So that's all for the year 2025 for my studio. So if you got any question or if you wish me to cover any topic, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll try my best to cover it. So thank you and I'll see you next time. Bye.